Hello everyone, Dream Envoy here, and welcome back to more of Let's Play Winds of Change. Last time we made our choice. We were going to team up with Vivian instead of Draku. And unfortunately that means that we're gonna have to fight against Pro come morning. However, despite those bad news, we did have some nice heart-to-hearts with both Valessa and Domik, and it looks like we're gonna be going on to some sort of dates. It seems like I'll eventually take Valessa out to to quote what she said, a place that has better food, which I presume means that I'm going to be taking Valessa out to a restaurant, while Domik wants to visit the place where his mother died so that he could get over his fear of physical contact. Which would be great because, oh my god, I just want to hug Domik, and he's at the point where he'll avoid even handshakes. One thing that I do want to say before I continue on with this video. In the previous video that was uploaded, because it's been a little while between recordings, in the previous video somebody mentioned that I was spot on about my assumptions with the purity and corruption thing, how purity is not necessarily good, but really just a matter of keeping things the same, while corruption is not necessarily bad, but is just changing things. And, you know, corruption slash changing things could either be for the good or for the bad. Are you corrupting things for the good? Or, rather, let's reword that. Are you corrupting things for the better, or are you corrupting things for the worse? So that's really the case, and honestly I don't think there's really right or wrong answers when it comes to these sort of questions or choices that are made in the game, because it really depends on your whole point of view. That being said though, I had recently started thinking about my choice with Grizz and allowing him to commit suicide, and I can tell you right now, I really do regret that, because now I can't help but think, if I had prevented Grizz from committing suicide, would he have interpreted that as knowing that I forgave him, and that if he knew that I forgave him, and I totally do forgive Grizz for killing our protagonist's parents, but would he be able to come to forgive himself, even though that when we come to forgive him? Because I get the feeling, because he doesn't necessarily have to die, and there was so much he could have lived for, and I don't know. In addition to that, when I said that while I was playing through this game, I would go through the game as if this is the choices that I would make in real life, and I'm starting to really think, would I actually let somebody commit suicide like that? I mean, I justified it back then saying, okay, he wants to redeem himself, let him redeem himself. If that means death, so be it. But I'm starting thinking, did he really need to redeem himself if I forgave him? And I don't know, because of that, I really regret letting him die, and in such a terrible way as well. That's gonna bother me, but oh well. We all make choices that we regret, and letting Grizz die is just one of them. That really affects me, because I've actually had a really good friend of mine actually commit suicide, and yeah, that I guess letting Grizz kill himself is really out of character for me, and I really regret that. But again, that's a choice that I went with. Finally, one last thing I wanted to say, and I promise you this will be the last thing I wanted to get out of the way before we get into gameplay. About Ulrich and Pro. I've already missed out on the tavern stuff, and I missed out on the tavern stuff, which means I missed out on those heart and hearts, but I do promise you, I will make future playthroughs like I said, and in those future playthroughs, I will visit those taverns. That way I will get those heart-to-hearts with Ulrich and Pro. It's just a shame that we're not able to do it at go back and do it in this part of the story, especially since this is the part of the story where Ulrich and Pro are very essential to the plot, and I have not done any hearts with them whatsoever. That's a shame right now, but I promise you, I will record a future playthrough where I will do those heart-to-hearts. So just have patience. You will see those heart-to-hearts. Just have patience. It's not gonna be in this playthrough, but you will see it. Now that I am done and out of the way, I've gotten everything that I wanted to say off my chest. Now let's continue on with the story. Sorry that took about 6 minutes of continuous talking. Okay, over to the private room then. Doesn't look like we... Well, it says that we can exit, but story-wise it says that we shouldn't. Anyways, that's a bad thing that we went for, corruption. It's now at 40%, while our purity is at 30%, which is more or less equal. I suppose that it would be the opposite if I had, let Grizz live, but again, choices that we can't reverse at this moment. As soon as I get to my private quarters, I rest the blade beside the bed. I don't know, I would probably rather sleep with it in case it gets stolen, but either way. Then again, I probably would notice somebody breaking into my room while I'm sleeping. As soon as I get to my private quarters, I rest the blade beside the bed. It feels good to get that weight off my shoulders. Too bad the relief would be... ephemeral? 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 I've never seen that word before. At least I don't recall ever seeing that word before. I sit down in the bed and think about what would be coming in the next few days. A tournament to decide the fate of Alarinthia. An alliance to help us attack Balteus. Not even a day or two after the Colosseum battle will we be sailing to the final battle. Would we win? Would we perish? The blade showed me nothing when I asked. I sit down on the bed and decide not to try using the blade again. The anxiety of not being able to know almost wasn't worth it. It was supposed to do what I wanted. Was I not strong enough? The blade was so mysterious, I'd probably never know. I lie down, having had enough of today's events. Things were crazy. Just when I think we get to relax, we're punished into more conflict. But this conflict has clearly proven divisive among our team. Yeah, that's what I really don't like. During times of war, we definitely need unity. We can't fight a civil war and an international war at the same time. Well, we can, but it wouldn't be beneficial to anyone. Pro and all, well, except for maybe the foreign enemy. Pro and all against each other? Vivian and Draku too. Perhaps this is a lesson that casualties are unavoidable. I don't want either of them to die. I close my eyes and hold onto a firm resolve in my heart. No, none of my comrades would die tomorrow. They survive. Jeez, I hope so, because I thought that I would love Pro. I know that a lot of people are more are fans of Ulrich over Pro, but I mean, like, I know that there are a lot of fans of Ulrich. Trust me, I actually have a few Ulrich stickers in my collection on Telegram. But I don't know, I always feel like I would have related to Pro more because, you know, gambling, alcoholic. Okay, those are not part of my personality, but you know, more so that he's an inspiring writer, which I find to be very interesting. We were all survivors, and that's what we need to... We were all survivors, and that's what we continue to do, forever. Triumvirate time? Oh no, I remember this. near the beginning of the game when we had a dream about a meeting with the Triumvir. How will he judge us knowing that we are mostly corrupt at this point? Instead of falling asleep, however, I find myself someplace familiar. It's the same locale I found myself after falling asleep in Peregrino. Yep. This wasn't just some random dream. I had to be here for a purpose. All I knew was that the Triumvirate's chambers. There was no doubt in my mind, but why was I here? Not only once, but twice? There needed to be a reason. The blade weighs heavy on my back and I slowly pull it out. I can sense that it's pulsating with energy, reacting to something. I notice the idol at the back of their chambers. That's what it was. I wonder if that idol, because the idols were used for the spirit world to connect with the living world. How would their idol fare now that, the spirits are all inside Salus's body now, assuming the identity of someone called Howl. Anyways, but why was the blade reacting to something like that? It doesn't look like any spirit idol I've ever seen. What is it? Maybe it's not a spirit idol? I feel a strong pull, almost like I have no choice but to approach it. Here we go again. I take slow, heavy steps towards the idol and feel eyes upon me. No, just one or two pairs. Not just one or two pairs. It's almost like all of Alestia is watching me. I can sense my comrades at my back, almost as if they're encouraging me. It helps me push forward as I feel resistance emanate from the idol. Why would I feel such a strong pull to something that doesn't want me? I push through in spite of that resistance and continue to act instinctually.
Yes, fulfill your purpose. Do what you were meant to do.
Now that you're telling me to do that, I'm kind of thinking, maybe not do that. That's the Triumvirate's voice. I remember it from last time I was here. But I have no idea what they mean by my purpose. Still, I can't deny my instinct, and I keep pressing forward. It isn't much longer before I'm standing in front of the idol. It radiates pure malice and pure evil. Fills me with fright. I look down at my blade. Was I meant to destroy this? I'm confused as to why I'm doing what the Triumvirate tells me to do. It's that conflict that causes this dream to end and jolt me awake. Already? Okay, foreshadowing? I rise up in fright, gripping my chest and panting heavily. I look over to the blade resting on my bedside. What happened? Well, I'm thankful it wasn't stolen or anything. It feels as if no time passed at all, but it's already the next morning. Just what I needed. No rest before a massive battle. The Fates were playing cruel tricks on me during this journey, but I had to keep going. I couldn't give in. It would be over too soon. I stand up and strap the blade to my back. As if on a cue, I hear a knock at the door before it's opened. Draku steps in, not seeming to care if I was receptive of him.
It's your turn, Monarch.
My turn?
We're transporting you to the Colosseum one by one. That way you're less inclined to try and escape us. You'll be the last one, so it's almost time to fight.
I see. Strength in numbers, so we, if you take us one by one, you're not able, there's less chance of us being able to escape because, that would mean that we would only be able to escape one at a time as well. I nod. It all makes sense.
I'd advise not wasting much time, but head to the Colosseum when you're ready. You'll be followed by myself and a few guards. Oh, and good luck. You'll need it. The entire nation will be watching and cheering, but whether it's for your victory or demise remains to be seen.
Draku, you are kind of polite in a way. And you're a rather polite dictator. but I'm gonna have to kill you, man. Or dragon? I don't think there's any men here except maybe the Triumvirate, but who knows? Well, that's yet to be seen. I haven't seen what's underneath their hoods yet. He rests his back against the wall and crosses his arms. This is really happening. A battle to decide the nation's fate. I guess I head to the Colosseum when I was ready to fight. There is one book to collect and I already see it. A book rests on the nightstand. It appears to be about Colosseum battles. Not regular ones though, the leadership ones. The kind of battle I'd be fighting in today. I wonder if it was placed here on purpose. We did play into Draco's hand after all.
The evolution of tournaments. Initially, rulers of Alarinthia were decided during a simple one-on-one battle, but citizens quickly realized that this was not the best way to gauge a potential ruler's true strength. They needed to add more. This is when the champion system came into play. Each fighter would elect a champion to fight by their side. This would not only test their offensive powers, but show how they handled defensive maneuvers as well. They'd have to fight their enemy and their enemy's champion while also protecting themselves and their champion. This made battles much more fun. Later on, the reserve forces came into play. Each leader would bring a force of about 20 or 30 men into battle with them. This was to make sure they knew how to lead an army efficiently as well. What started out as simple fights to the death have evolved into a full-on sport. Leaders must display their ability to fight, to defend, and to command an army. This ensures that Alarinthia is always in the best possible hands. Only the most competent warriors can win.
All it proves is that they're good, all it proves is that the leader is good in battles, is they're being good at, in wars doesn't necessarily mean that you're a good politician. I mean, like, not every war general can be a president, or even a senate. Well, that's it. I have absolutely no idea where to go. The throne room? Maybe the exit? Oh, yes, there's the Colosseum. Oh, can we go back to the city gates? We can! Leading me to the Colosseum, my butt. I can go anywhere I want. Alright. Alright, looks like the Roman Colosseum, huh? I make my way to the Colosseum alongside Draco and some of his soldiers. It's a massive cowering structure, almost putting the castle to shame. Makes sense that it'd be bigger. Alarinthia was all about fighting.
Well, here we are. If you head on inside, you'll find your allies. After that, you'll all be escorted to a private room. You'll have a few moments to prepare once you're in there, but I'd say within the next hour or two, the battle will be over. They don't last very long if both sides have prepared enough.
You know, given how much Alarinthia, values battle, I would assume that overthrowing someone like Draco would pretty much be overthrowing their very way of life. But honestly, overthrow Draco and I don't know. I mean, like, it's a question of would their way of life would be better without the fighting, which, yeah, I would kind of think so. But you know what? That's the perspective of somebody who is an outsider, and I guess that would explain, you know, the alternative point of view about this. Is it really right for a foreigner to decide that how another country should survive. I mean, that sounds a lot like colonization, you know? Take over a country and then, enforce your own laws. Colonization. He crosses his arms, looks at me dismissively.
You may wonder why I'm doing this, even though you sided against me. The answer to that is, it's in my nature to show my enemies some kindness. I do not kill in cold blood. I will mourn you and honor your memory, Monarch.
Okay, I understand. You're not an entirely terrible person.
It is a noble thing to die for your beliefs. Perhaps your memory will inspire future generations. Generations that can go on to be killed, just like you.
I take back what I said about you being a rather kind person. He steps forward, looking me dead in the eye.
I do not expect to lose to Vivian. I've killed far stronger men than him. Some would call you foolish for your choice.
I'm sure many will. With a smile, he lets out a soft laugh.
But I am not one of those people. As I said, I treat my enemies with kindness. You may have realized it, but that's why I held the ball.
Yeah, even though that we were technically kept prisoners there.
But the ball is over, so I must find another way to be kind. And that is showing you a swift, painless end in the Colosseum. You wish to die for your beliefs. It would be my honor to aid you.
Huh? Very well. At least you're not going to make me suffer. After saying these harsh words, he enters the Colosseum. I have no choice but to follow him, as the guards block any avenue to escape. Even though that I just visited the exit on the way here. You know, the city gates. There was no way we'd lose. We have Ulrich on our side. He's a match for Draku. Huh. Something about Sovy, who is, no longer the Inquisitor. On a ship. Okay. Sovy looks onto the ocean, watching the ripples and waves. Oh yeah, we know that he's heading towards here, Alarinthia. He remains silent, attracting the suspicion of the captain. Approaching Sovy, he attempts to converse to pass the time.
It shouldn't be longer than a few more hours, but I have to ask, what brings you to Alarinthia?
Lanky, huh?
It's probably better for you not to know. I don't want to involve people in my problems.
Involve away. What else are we going to do? You paid me tenfold to take you and you alone. How can you expect me not to question that?
I expect you to do the job you're paid for. Anything else is unnecessary. Don't you agree?
Yeah, it's unnecessary, but it is entertaining.
Look, the way I see it, we're friends here. If you need a ferryman back, I'd love to help you out. Treat me with a cold shoulder and you could get stranded.
That is also a pretty good point.
Is that a threat?
Of course not. I'm just curious. Here, let's start with the basics. What kind of work do you do? You already know what I do for a living. Don't you think I deserve to know as a courtesy? I don't care if you're breaking the law or anything like that.
Sovy is unemployed now. He used to have a very high-ranking job of torturing prisoners, but you know.
No, I'm not breaking the law. But honestly, I don't know how to answer your question. I guess you could say that I'm between things right now.
That's one way to put it.
And why is that?
Because his previous boss didn't think that he was loyal enough, so they fired him.
I thought it was time to seek out better opportunities.
That's exactly what you would say in a job interview.
In Alarinthia?
To be honest, I have no idea. I just know some people who might be there. Talking to them should get things on the right track.
Are you talking about us? Are you thinking of stealing the sword to redeem your honor? Cause, I have no qualms with killing you, Sovy.
And what line of work are you in?
I guess you could say I seek out information. Nothing pleases me greater than learning the truth. But the people I worked for were far less than honest.
Yeah, that's true. The triumvirates have been keeping secrets.
Lied to by your bosses? Join the club. They'll do anything to save face and get their way. That's part of why I work on my own now. I get you.
Yep, I've been there, done that, Likey. I guess I could surprisingly relate to Likey and Sovy here. The captain scoffs, surprised at Sovy's earlier hesitance.
Is that what you were so worried to open up about? Trust me, almost everybody knows what that's like. I hope your next opportunity is more fruitful.
I can only hope.
So what did they lie to you about?
Everything.
Then I can see why you'd run away.
He didn't exactly run away. He was more or less just in denial.
Excuse me?
I just mean, it's totally understandable.
Sovy steps toward the captain, clenching his fists. He brings himself face to face as if trying to intimidate.
I'm not running away. I'm doing what's right.
The captain matches his gaze, taking one step forward. He didn't give in to Sovy's intimidation. It was an even match.
Sometimes running away is the right thing to do.
That's true, yeah. They stare at each other until Sovy backs away. Something was different. Normally he would stand his ground. But he no longer served the triumvirate. He had nothing to prove.
I'm sorry. You're right. I didn't mean to start something on your boat. Once we get to Alarinthia, you'll never see me again.
Is that some humility you're showing, Sovy?
There's no need to go that far. Don't misunderstand me, I've got your back. You're not the only man who's run away, you know. Why else do you think I live at sea? Sometimes I don't set foot on land for weeks at a time. I prefer to be out here, where I live on my own terms. I'm free.
Free,
Yeah, there's no better way to live. Imagine not being shackled by higher-ups. You're fully capable of making your own decisions.
Likey, I will say that is the ideal life, but it's not the life that anyone can maintain. I mean, I tried it and failed. Sovy sighs and looks down at the ground. It was his own decision that got him into this mess to begin with. Trust me, I tried to do it again. I'll be honest, I actually want to, write and publish a story. I'm not sure if it should be a book, a video game, a visual novel like this, but I do want to do something like that. And I don't know, it would be really nice to have continuous income from that. Who knows? You never know if you hit a gold mine or not unless you strike. But even though the triumvirate wasn't pleased, he stood by his actions.
That would be wonderful. I've been a subordinate for my entire life. I think it's finally time that I carved my own path.
That's some very interesting character development from Sovy. Too bad the protagonist would have nothing to know of that. All the protagonist knows is that Sovy had killed me in a dream and attempted to kill me in real life. So the question is, would I actually like Sovy? I mean, I know what Sovy is going through. But my character sure doesn't. Anyways, into the main atrium. Also, I know that the halls that open out into the arena are called vomitoriums. And no, they are not places where you go to vomit. I entered the Colosseum and quickly scanned the area for my friends. A massive flame burns at the center of the room, making the heat even worse. I wonder why they do something like that. This place confuses me sometimes. Maybe it's symbolic. Plus, it's a good light source. Draco is nowhere to be seen. Perhaps he's already in a private room. I noticed Veleza, Fortem, and Hal standing far away from the flame. No sign of No sign of anybody else, though. I decide to approach them and ask what's up. They turn to me and smile, while Hal shows the face of complete indifference. Yeah, like usual.
I can't believe how cool this place is. Too bad I can't actually enjoy it. I'm super stressed. I'm really worried that we might lose somebody today.
I am too.
Have we actually worked out who's fighting? I mean, which of our members are joining Draku's reserve forces? The leader and the champion we know, but what about everyone else?
Hal steps forward. Well, we know that Hal is siding with Draku.
Ulrich fights with Vivian. Pro fights with Draku. Vivian's reserve forces are part of his own army. Draku's reserve forces will borrow from our army.
Oh, I see. So therefore, I wonder, I guess that would mean that some of us would be fighting for Draku and not have a choice in the matter.
We believe using our created seers will be the best idea.
Oh.
We wouldn't want to put any of our main members at risk. If we win, our allegiance will make this sacrifice worthwhile.
I would actually say that seers would be at the greatest advantage because they would see the future, but then again, I'm also a seer and there are consequences that I don't foresee.
It is unfortunate that we will have to kill our own, but we cannot change what Pro has set in motion. All we can do is try to focus on taking Draku's life.
Funny how you're saying that, even though that you most definitely would have sided with Draku. He looks at me.
As for Valesa's question, the Monarch will fight among Vivian's reserve forces. It is important for a leader to fight for their beliefs. No delegation at times like this. This means that several of our key members will be put in harm's way.
Looks like I'm doing some actual fighting. I wonder if there's a game mechanic that would come into play like here.
It may be impossible for us to avoid the loss of our reserve forces, but we may be able to win without losing any of our comrades. We must simply focus on the lives of Vivian and Draku.
Yeah. You know, it would be interesting if we get something like interactive combat here. I sort of doubt that in a visual novel, but it would be pretty cool. He crosses his arms, speaking sternly. It was more of a demand than a request.
Do your best to kill Draku before any harm can come to Pro or Ulrich. We have the option to mitigate our losses, so we must take it.
Well, that was the plan I was going for anyways. Just have everyone gang up on Draku. Neither Ulrich nor Pro will die and we'd win. No pressure or anything like that.
So you'll be safe, Hal? Along with myself and Fortum? What about Dominik? He ran off with Pro and Ulrich.
I suppose we'll find out. We should head to the private rooms and prepare. The battle will be starting in a matter of minutes.
Dominik ran off with the champions? That's odd. I guess they've been close friends for a long time, though. Perhaps he just wants a chance to say goodbye to them. The odds of survival for everybody involved were less than stellar. But there was nothing we could do. Everything was put into place.
Let's go ask him ourselves, Monarch. This whole ordeal is kind of confusing. For a while, I was scared I'd have to fight.
Yeah, same. And I was really worried. But now I feel bad that I'm just going to watch. This whole situation is so messed up.
Yeah, I agree.
It is less than ideal, yes, but we cannot change our circumstances. Let us gather together for last-minute preparations. Only by preparing for the coming storm can we avoid tragedy. If we stand here any longer, the odds of losing our comrades will grow. Do not let the enemy get the upper hand. That has happened enough.
He points to a nearby staircase. That must lead to the private room. Yeah, everything was happening so fast. I could use a few moments to plan. One last team huddle before the fight would help. We need to minimize our losses. We need to make it through with this without losing Pro or Ulrich. If such a thing is even possible, then we'll find out how to do it. And if it's not, honestly, I don't know what I do. Another heart? Oh no, this is like a result of a banter that has been affected by our relationship with Valessa. Ah, got you. And a heart-to-heart with Howl. I think it's kind of ironic that I've gotten heart-to-hearts with Howl when, as someone has correctly put it, I only really tolerate him. Howl stands in the middle of the Colosseum lobby. Staring deep in the flames, it looks like he's lost in thought. He's whispering to himself, but I'm unable to discern his words. I take slow, cautious steps toward him, curious as to what he's doing. But like always, he reacts before I can initiate the conversation.
We knew you'd be there, Monarch.
I take a few steps back and cross my arms. He turns to face me and looks me in the eyes.
A few steps backward, as always. But away from what? Do you fear us? No, you mustn't. You still choose to talk with us. Join us, and we shall look into the flames together. Like our vision, it is always changing, never the same. We've thought about this a lot since we talked on the boat.
Alrighty, Howl, let's burn our eyeballs out. Let's completely destroy our retinas right before a life-threatening fight. He turns back to face the flames, and I stand by his side. Together we look into the flames with the heat assailing us. Feels almost unbearable at first, but I soon get used to it.
I know what you're feeling, Monarch. We felt the same when our vision first went astray, but now we find ourselves asking, is it actually astray? Seeing both the future and the past, is it really bad? For example, we see Draco win the battle, but also Vivian. We see Pro fall, and Ulrich fall. We even see a future where you fall.
Hey, all possible outcomes.
Instead of seeing only ahead, we see in every direction. It is almost like a natural evolution to the power we hold. If we can learn to control this, it would be a tremendous boon. The same goes for the visions of the past. Different outcomes, different information, secrets revealed. What if we could search these alternate paths for information?
I suppose if I load a new game as it keeps breaking the fourth wall as we talk.
Let us look at the attack on the Rebel HQ in Mazio. Perhaps a past exists where Damak found out about it. Not useful now, but I think you see what we're suggesting.
It makes sense. He's seeing alternate versions of the past. Perhaps versions exist where information comes to light early. If he could learn to control this power, it would help us tremendously. For example, what if a past exists where we didn't bother with Alarenthia? He could search through memories of our attack on Balteus and glean information. Well, it's not like we could travel back in time and retain information like that. It's not like I've seen any options to skip over Alarenthia or any options to prevent Damek being killed, etc., etc. Perhaps we've even made it so far enough to learn the Triumvirate's true identity. But unless we could control this power, it would be useless to speculate. It hurts my head just to think about it, but I've seen an alternate futures firsthand. I have to consider the possibility of alternate paths as well. Stands to reason. Oh well, he just goes on and on about split timelines then. There was no real explanation for either, so both were oddities. The old monarchy had the power of visions, but where did they come from? Hal turns to Figsby, the face illuminating his differently colored eyes.
We wish to try to master this ability before the final battle. If we can gain any useful information, it would aid our attack on Baltius, especially if it can help us uncover any traitors within our ranks.
Yeah, I guess that would be helpful. Traitors?
The more we think about it, the more it makes sense. In the Rebel HQ, you were as lambs to the slaughter. The Triumvirate must have been tipped off somehow.
Well, we know that Shane is a traitor.
Rest assured that if there is a traitor, we will find them. After that, their fate and punishment is yours to decide. It is unlikely that Shane is the only turncoat among you.
And I have certain plans for Shane. Ho ho ho, yes, I have plans for Shane. The thought fills me with fright.
Pro even walks along the path of disloyalty, siding with Draku. And making things more complicated, we will keep a closer eye on him. He's most suspicious.
I take it you don't really like Pro. Well, I think it would be interesting if I had heart-to-hearts with Pro. How exactly I'd react to that. Would I actually believe Howl? I must admit, Pro's actions did confuse me. In fact, everybody in Alarenthia confused me. They treat this Colosseum business like afternoon tea. Like all of this death is just daily occurrence for them. At least it kept them introverted. A Triumvirate would like that. Those focused on fighting themselves would be less inclined to rebel.
There is more to this story than we know. We hope that in the end, an alliance is formed. We would prefer to leave this nation as soon as possible. An endless cycle of death, creating strength. Each leader falls to someone stronger than themselves. Through death and sacrifice, Alarenthia gains power.
It's like natural selection to the absolute extreme. Yeah. Oh, what is the term? Fit for the strongest? I am losing the terminology for it, but basically, you know, oh, I just realized it. Survival of the strongest. Survival of the fittest. That's what it is. It's that to the absolute extreme. Basically, the stronger you are, if you're weak, you'll just be killed by the stronger ones. Natural selection at the most extreme.
We would prefer to gain power through other means. When you rule this world, Monarch, please consider this. Do not walk down a path similar to the Triumvirate.
Very well, I wasn't planning to.
The occupation was a prime example of their nature. They kill others to gain strength, to ensure they rule. It would pain us to see you become like that. It truly would.
It kind of pains me that you assume that I would. He stares at the sword on my back.
Because you may follow after them without even knowing it. For now, that is all we have to say. There are no other concerns. Next time we talk, perhaps more will have come to light. At least, we hope.
Are you assuming that I'm corrupt? Are you assuming that I'm corrupt? What? You may follow after them without even knowing it. After he stares at my sword, you think that corrupt leader who would kill for just to stay in power. Dude, I don't even want to be in power. I step away, taking his hint. I can see how mastering his new visions would be helpful. But if any traitors are revealed, that would be devastating. You know what, how I'm getting a suspicion that you are just looking at an extremely unlikely future. These were alternate paths. He said so himself. What if someone is a traitor only in some far-off past? We could end up punishing somebody innocent and loyal. His words were as scripted as always, especially about cycles. I know I wield the Triumvirate blade, but I am not like them. Thank you, protagonist, for standing against Howl like I do. The cycle of death and tyranny would end by my hand alone. I look over my shoulder and he's still staring into the flames. Every time I talk to him, he tells me something new about his powers. As we approach our final battle, however, he'd be more rushed than ever. If there were any secrets to be learned, I trust that he could do it. But, as always, a few major questions find themselves at the top of my list. Who was the Triumvirate? Why did they require purity? Are there any traitors? It seemed that Howl will be the key to resolving all these mysteries, and more. It's interesting that they're aiming for purity, but they most certainly corrupted, the old way, the old kingdom and all that, by taking over and, creating us. The power that he saw as a curse was now turning into a bountiful source of hope. That was the miracle of changing views. Your curses and your faults become strengths. And if there's anything that would carry us to victory, it would be finding that inner strength. And how does Fortam and Valessa? Because this apparently is affected by my heart-to-heart with Valessa.
Hey, Valessa?
Yeah? What's up?
I saw you dancing with the Monarch.
And...
Oh no, is Fortam jealous?
Are you two a thing now?
Does it matter?
Well, I was just curious. It seemed pretty passionate from what I saw. Think you're gonna rule at the Monarch's side?
Okay, first of all, I disagree with Valessa's political stances 100%. I 100% disagree with what Valessa has to say on politics, and almost 100% agree with what Fortam has to say about politics. As for being a thing with Valessa, honestly, I see her more as like a really, really nice friend than anything else. And if we are a thing, she may be very disappointed to find out that I have a thing for a general. That I'm kind of two-timing things, going after two people at once is, I mean, if she's okay with polygamy, but,
I didn't even think of that, to be honest. But we all work together in Valinor, right? No matter what happens, I'm sure we'll make it work.
Okay. And also, I didn't mean to say polygamy, polyamorous. That's how it is.
Of course, my queen.
Oh my god, Fortam.
Whoa, hold on. Please don't call me that.
Please don't.
Yes, your highness.
Please stop, Fortam.
Fortam?
Fortam, you know that I don't agree with Valessa's politics. Please don't make her a queen.
Oh, lighten up. I'm just messing around. I know you'd make a fine ruler. You're awesome.
she would make a terrible ruler. But yes, I know you're messing around. I know you're messing around. Don't get me wrong, but oh my god. No.
Really?
No.
Of course! And it's a real possibility, too. Dating the monarch? Do the math, Valessa.
Fortem, you do know that I chose you as the Elder of Valinor, right? You do remember that, right? I chose you because I want you to be a leader, not because I want to put Valessa at an even higher pedestal. Pedestal, I mean at a even higher position of power.
It's not that complicated. Every king needs a queen, right? I think you fit the bill perfectly. Don't you?
As somebody who is bisexual, with some homosexual leanings, why not say every... I mean, I don't think that every king needs a queen. Maybe... Why not some kings have, you know, another king? You know? Kind of like, double patriarchy in that sense.
I can't answer that question. It would be pretty self-serving, wouldn't it?
A queen has no need to be humble, Valessa. Drink fancy tea, wear beautiful dresses, do it all. I just hope you don't forget about me when you're famous.
Oh my god. Fortem, you're too precious.
Fortem, I never forget about you. At the very least, you'd make sure of that. But we definitely need a royal advisor, right?
I really want the positions to be reversed. Fortem being the ruler and Valessa being the advisor.
Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting?
Well, we all worked together back in Valinor. I don't see why it would be any different after the war. Imagine the three of us being rulers of the entire world.
No pressure? No pressure, it's just that I'm gonna have to worry about assassins 24/7.
Awesome!
I'm being serious though. I would rather have Valessa be the political advisor simply because I agree with Fortem's politics more, and I'm also not sure how Valessa would feel about the fact that I'm also dating Dominic at the exact same time. I really hope that doesn't hurt the friendship between either of us because oh my god, I love Dominic so much. But anyways, I think I'm gonna end it here. Next time on Winds of Change, we're gonna go into the Colosseum. If you like this video, hit that like button. If not, dislike, leave behind a comment telling me what you think. And I hope to see you guys next time.